Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. It is pre-match build-up showtime with Liverpool taking on Southampton in a Friday night match at St Mary's in yet another game in what is becoming a fascinating and certainly exciting run-in to be involved in as a Liverpool fan. And I think it's interesting, this game, because I think it's probably going to set the tone for all the away games, all three of them, between now and the end of the season, insofar as it's going to lack a lot of the splendour that's going to come with the home fixtures. Those games against Chelsea, Huddersfield and Wolves on the final day, all at Anfield, are going to be massive occasions where the crowd itself is just going to be a sight to behold for the entire 90 minutes, let alone the sort of pre-match build-up and the sort of reaction from the fans post-match. Whereas away from home, I think it very much now becomes just about winning the football match, because we're not in the position that City were in last season, where every single game was a kind of glorious procession. For starters, we don't really kind of play that way. That's not how we've got to the position we're in. And also, we are in the thick of a title race. It's not about showing off. It's not about being the greatest team in the history of English football. It's simply about winning every single game. So without the crowd to make it feel like this amazing, spectacular, splendid occasion, it very much boils down to the team just needing those 3 points. And I think if you're looking for a template for how we'd want this game to go, I think look no further than the last time we went to St Mary's during a title race, where I think it was around about February time. We didn't really play that well, but we ended up coming away with a 3-0 win back in 2014. I'm pretty sure Luis Suarez got at least a couple of the goals. He might even have scored a hat-trick, but Liverpool quite simply got the job done with the minimum of fuss, with no fireworks or anything like that. They simply went there and got the win, and did so without really making too much of a deal of it either. So I think that's what Liverpool are going to have to look to do on Friday night against Southampton, and I think it's the kind of thing we're going to have to do all the way through our away games between now and the end of the season. Like I said, it's not about anything else. It is quite simply about those 3 points, and I think as a result, it's really important that the players just kind of avoid these added narratives that will always seep into any game at this time of the season, but are also coming in for other reasons as well, partially because of the opposition we're facing. We need to avoid them kind of seeping into the game, push them away, and quite simply just make it about the two teams that are out there on the pitch, and make it about Liverpool getting the win, you know, because people are going to want to talk about the fact that we've got a lot of former Southampton players, the fact that all of them are essentially, every single time they come to St Mary's, will always come there with a point to prove. It's going to be interesting to see how all of them are received, because they kind of get varying receptions. I think Lallana always gets a pretty heavy booing, whereas Sadio Mane, I think they've kind of accepted that he is far too good to be playing for a team like Southampton. So that narrative always keeps in. You've got the ongoing Mo Salah drought, although that's kind of half-ended with the goal against Spurs, where even though it's not going to register on his goal tally, it's at least going to do a lot for his confidence and hopefully his form as well. And then, of course, you've got that extra narrative that City played only 2 days beforehand and won pretty comfortably, and that, of course, launched them to the back of the top of the Premier League table. Liverpool have essentially got to block all of these things out and make it just about the football match, and if they can, I think that will fill us all with a huge amount of confidence going forward into the other away games we've got to face between now and the end of the season. So team news going into the match tomorrow night. Virgil van Dijk is obviously the player that everybody was sweating on after the Spurs game. Jurgen Klopp himself said that he saw Van Dijk walk past him with like a massive ice pack on his leg or something like that, and that had everyone sweating buckets for about 5 minutes, I'd say, before it gradually emerged that he was actually pretty much fine. And that's actually not a hugely strange thing for a footballer to need an ice pack or two after a game. You know, they are playing this ridiculous level of athletic demand for 90 minutes. They're going to sustain a few knocks on the way, especially when you do the kind of heroic things that Van Dijk did against Spurs. So he's actually fine for this game, which is obviously fantastic. Going to be interesting to see how he fares against his former team. We already saw him play at St Mary's for Liverpool last season, and, you know, it didn't seem to faze him, but to be honest, that's not really a surprise, because with Virgil van Dijk, nothing seems to faze him in the first place. So he will definitely be available for this game. The club have done everything they can to confirm that that is 100% the case. Elsewhere, in terms of injury news, there are obviously a couple of players who are just maybe either available for this game or it's come just a little bit too soon. We haven't really heard too much on the injury news front with regards to them. You know, I'd say it's Gomez, Ox and Lovren are all players who are just about on the fringes. Obviously, Lovren plays against Spurs, so I think he's definitely available for at least some role in this game, if not from the start. Gomez probably gets again a little bit too soon. He's been in a little bit of training, but we haven't really heard anything about him stepping up any levels since we last heard about him before the Spurs game. Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, you know, looked pretty good in the crossbar challenge that he did with a couple of the other players that was on the club's YouTube channel. I think he's basically pretty much ready apart from match fitness, and that's always going to be a difficult thing to work towards. So I don't think he'll play at in the game against Southampton. I don't think Gomez will play either unless he makes some very, very late appearance off the bench. But I think Dejan Lovren, even though because it's the centre-back position, so maybe you don't want to be messing around with it too much, we could at least see him in some capacity, especially if we end up in a similar situation to the one against Spurs where we were defending a lead very late on. So as for how I think the side's actually going to line up, obviously, as always, Alisson Becker in goal. Hopefully he can put in a slightly more stable performance than the one against Spurs. It just seemed very randomly he decided he was going to have a bit of a mare. He didn't ever seem to really have the game under wraps, although then again his opposite number, Hugo Lloris, still managed to steal the headlines with that goal at the end anyway. But hopefully we see a slightly more stable performance from Alisson Becker at St Mary's tomorrow night. In terms of the defence, I think we probably stick with the same centre-back pairing simply because it's somewhere you don't really want to mess with too much, and even though I'd probably rather see a fully fit and match-fit Dejan Lovren over a fully match-fit Joel Matip, I think because Matip and Van Dijk have been playing so many games and Dejan Lovren probably isn't 100% fit, I would prefer to see Joel Matip anyway alongside Virgil van Dijk, so I think that's what Jurgen Klopp is going to go with. And maybe if we've got the game wrapped up like 3-0 with half an hour or 20 minutes to go or something like that, maybe he brings on Dejan Lovren just to build up his fitness a little bit and takes off Joel Matip, or if we're feeling really confident, takes off Virgil van Dijk. And then the fullbacks, I reckon, you know, absolutely nailed on. It's Andrew Robertson and it's Trent Alexander-Arnold. Moving into the midfield, this is as always where Liverpool have their biggest selection dilemma. I think the three midfielders that I think he's going to pick are Fabinho at the base because he was absolutely fantastic in the game against Spurs when he came on. Then Wijnaldum to the other side, although it's an interesting call with Wijnaldum simply because, you know, these are the kind of games he seems to struggle in. Away games against non-high quality opposition, you know, no offence to Southampton, but what I mean by that is not like a Champions League knockout stage team or alternatively a Big Six Premier League team. In these kind of games, Gini Wijnaldum doesn't seem to affect it as much, but given the other player I've chosen in midfield, I think you need Wijnaldum there between this player that I'm going to mention in a second and Fabinho just to offer a little bit of balance. I think Henderson would be a little bit too defensive and Keita would maybe be a little bit too more advanced. Milner would be somewhere just kind of in between. I don't think it would really work. So the player that I think is going to complete that midfield three is, of course, if you've already deduced it, Adam Lallana. It's not going to be Xherdan Shaqiri if maybe you thought I was going to go a little bit wild there and put him in the midfield three. I just think Lallana, Jurgen Klopp is going to want a slightly more advanced midfield player in this game, and the players that fit that role best purely in terms of their qualities are Lallana and Keita, and I think at the moment he seems to trust Adam Lallana over Naby Keita, especially with it being an away game as well, with against a team that Keita hasn't played against before. Obviously Lallana's got previously, so Jurgen Klopp will try and fire him up using that, and like I said, we need a more advanced player. I think if we were to play like Fabinho, Henderson, Gini, or even like Fabinho, Gini and Milner, I think we're still missing someone who can play a little bit further up the park, and against a team like Southampton we really want to be dominating the play and we want to be creating a lot of chances. So I think Fabinho, Lallana and Gini Wijnaldum is the midfield, and then the front three I think it has to be Salah, Firmino and Mane. So taking a quick look at Southampton then, a little bit of injury news regarding them. Mario Lemina is set to miss out, which could end up being a little bit of a blow for them. He hasn't really played too many games, but he's always been quite a reliable holding midfielder, and I think he's one that Ralph Hasenhüttl has quite liked to call upon in games like this, just to put an extra body into the midfield. Other players that may or may not be available, obviously they're not going to be able to call upon the services of Danny Ings, which is a blow for them and a boost for us. He's ineligible because of the weird transfer that we made where it's technically a loan for the first year, but it will be made permanent at the end of the season. Lord knows why that's been done. It's probably some sort of financial swindle that we won't really want to get into, so I'll leave that there. But yeah, that's of course a blow for them that he's not going to be available because he has been an incredibly useful player for this season and a goal scorer, which is something Southampton have. At times it's looked like they've lacked someone like that in their side, so he's not going to be available. Shane Long is another player who's kind of touch and go for it. Yannick Vestergaard, the centre-back as well, might not be available, so it's going to be interesting to see how Southampton line up, because Hasenhüttl in his press conference also kind of suggested that he hasn't actually decided his formation. He was talking about, like, I think the 4-4-2, the 4-2-2-2, where you have like base midfielders, then attacking midfielders, then 2 centre forwards as well to complete that kind of attacking lineup. He also mentioned a 5-3-2 as well, which is interesting because that's essentially what Spurs did against us, and let's be honest, didn't really work, did it? They actually ended up changing formation mid-game because the 5-3-2 was causing them so many problems. So I'd be surprised if Hasenhüttl went with that. I'd be quite pleased if he went with it. I think he probably won't end up doing it, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see how Southampton line up. And it's kind of a surprise to me that he says he hasn't picked his formation, simply because if I were him, I'd simply look at what they did against Spurs a couple of weeks ago. Well, not a couple, it's back nearly a month ago now, but they put in a fantastic performance, especially in the second half, actually dominated Spurs for periods of the game, and of course ended up coming away with the win after scoring 2 late goals to turn the result around after going 1-0 down in the first half. So, you know, I'd look at that as Ralph Hasenhüttl and say, just take that template, not completely, you know, copy and paste it because you're always playing against different teams, but that's his template to beat the big side. So I'm kind of surprised that he's actually looking to change it up a little bit, but it'll certainly be interesting, like I said, to see how it goes. In terms of looking at that game against Spurs and wondering how Liverpool can try and counteract it, I simply think the most important thing is momentum. I think it's all about game management for this, because Spurs were all over Southampton in the first half. They absolutely tore them apart and should have been 3 or 4-0 up, but because they didn't take that lead and Southampton changed things around at half-time, got themselves together a little bit, then they started to dominate in the second half and Spurs just couldn't get back into the game. And if anything, Southampton looked like the top 6 team for that second half, which is incredibly surprising when you consider the supposed golfing class between the teams. You only have to look at the table to see that there is technically a huge gap in quality between Southampton and between teams of Liverpool and Spurs quality. So that's something we've got to watch out for, is the fact that when they get the bit between their teeth, they do suddenly become a very, very good side, and especially away from home, that Friday night atmosphere up against a big team who they know they can do it against, because they beat Arsenal earlier on the season, they beat Spurs about a month ago, they gave Man United a hell of a game at Old Trafford as well. The fans are going to be up for it, and Liverpool have just got to try and calm that down, do our business, and like I said, just get the win. Don't worry about all these extra narratives. Don't let any of that creep into what's going on the pitch. Just do our job and do it well. So it's going to be incredibly interesting. It's been a fascinating match. Like I said, the fact that we don't know how Southampton are going to line up also kind of throws a little bit of a spanner in the works, because we don't really know whether Liverpool are going to be, you know, dominating the ball and we're going to have them under the cosh all the way through, or whether we're actually going to try and look to hit them on the counter a few times as they almost impose themselves as the dominant team for various periods in the game. In terms of the actual tactical battle as well, the midfield is going to be so important, because that has been their engine room through this run of form that they're having. They've got like 18 points since the turn of the year, which is a very, very good return for a team in the position that Southampton are in. That's what's essentially pulled them out of the relegation zone and will probably allow them to survive for yet another season in the Premier League. You know, players like James Ward-Prowse, who's been absolutely fantastic, Højbjerg, who's really found a role for himself under Ralph Hasenhüttl, and then Romeu as well as the base of the midfield. Essentially, it's Højbjerg and it's the other fella. His name's completely gone out of my head. Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse doing all of that running, getting all about the pitch, and then Romeu is simply about the positional sense and the strength to cut out attacks. So I think what's so important is that we target Højbjerg, we try and isolate him, stop the other two doing the work for him, and then just get past him as quickly as possible. And I think that's why having a player like Lallana in the midfield is going to be so key to Liverpool getting a result from this game. But I think, all things considered, let's be honest, this is 100% a game that Liverpool should be winning. If we don't win it, we probably don't deserve to really be in the title race, and I think results pending, and you know, City could quite easily lose their next game and we could come back into it. But I think if Liverpool drop points this weekend, it's probably the end of the title race, simply because of the psychological blow as much as the tactical blow, mathematical blow even. But I do think we'll get the win. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the walk in the park. I think it's possible that we win 3-0, but I think if we do, it will be like that one from 5 years ago where it was kind of scrapped, and it's just the fact that our quality showed through at the final end of the pitch where the goals come from, that actually meant that we had that kind of extra embellishment on the result that made it look a lot easier than it was. But I do think Liverpool are going to get the win. Let me know what you think is going to happen down in the comments below. Apart from that, don't forget to like this video as always if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to follow at Elusive Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll be back tomorrow night with the post-match reaction after Liverpool have hopefully returned to the top of the Premier League table with a win at St Mary's. Until then, bye for now.